Hello and welcome to the show. My first guest today is the CEO and founder of the haircare brand Bask Lather. What started after a jarring hair loss journey turned into a multi-million-dollar business empire. It is my pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
Good to see you. I am so intrigued that this starts with a family on a mission to help a daughter, a sister with ringworm. Mm-hmm. Tell me your journey and your sisters.
Yes. So it all started with my sister Leah. When she was younger, she lost all of her hair. She had a really bad ringworm that spread all over her scalp. And initially it was misdiagnosed as dandruff. And it took for my mom to get her to a dermatologist of color to get a proper diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, by that time, the infection was so severe that Aaliyah's hair was coming out straight from the scalp. And she had a huge crop circle at the top. My mom was devastated.
Right. Mom's devastated. Aaliyah's devastated, right? I mean, hair loss at any age is hard, but for a little girl trying to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. So what kind of conversations were you having? Was mom having?
Yeah, so Aaliyah had to wear a cap to school. Yeah. And remember my mom really being worried about like kids snatching her cap off or teasing her. Yeah. Fortunately, none of that happened, but she went months even after completing treatment of no hair growing back. So my mom took her to specialists and they were doing scalp analyses and they weren't sure that her hair would ever grow back. So my mom did what moms do and took things into her own hands.
Right.
And she did research about natural efficacious ingredients for hair growth and whipped up a concoction which became our scalp stimulator oil.
About natural what?
Efficacious ingredients.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. So how do you figure that out, right? I mean, that's science. There's chemistry. Where does mom start?
My mom is also a science teacher, and
that tracks.
Yeah, she's a science teacher, and honestly, outside of that, you know, Leah was so young. She didn't want to use anything pharmaceutical that would be a lifelong treatment. You know, the treatments you start, and then if you stop, everything reverses and your hair falls back out. Yeah. So she really got down to the wire and was studying, you know, what is out there, what is shown to be equally as effective as the pharmaceuticals, and Aaliyah's hair started to grow back. Mm-hmm.
And what period of time? Because we saw Aaliyah has no shortage of hair by the time this is all said and done.
Yeah, so initially my mom started whipping up the concoction, which had no name, but it's now as our scalp stimulator. And within a matter of weeks, Aaliyah started to develop peach fuzz. Mind you, no hair was growing back for months prior to this.
Right.
But my mom said, okay, it's growing back thin. You know, what else can we use to help thicken the hair? And she learned about Jamaican black castor oil, hated the smell, hated how thick it was, whipped up another mixture. And Aaliyah's hair between that time period and 4 years later was all the way down to her waist here. And then it took about 6 to 7 years to get all the way down to her hips.
Wow. Now, you've also had your own challenges with hair loss, right? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I was working, I'm also a board certified nurse practitioner. So I was working in an office-based GI setting, and I got deployed to work and help at the hospital. And I acquired COVID. I became so sick to the point that I was in the back of an ambulance on a non-rebreather mask, begging God to let me live to raise my children. Wow. And I survived. And then a few weeks later, my hair, I would touch it, and it would snap and break and fall to the floor and shed. And it was so chopped. And I remember feeling so vulnerable and hurt and embarrassed. Yeah. And I remember saying, wow, you would think someone that was just begging to live wouldn't really care about their hair.
About hair loss.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Yes, and it got much worse than this. So I said, Mom, you know, I know my hair. I tried, like, do I need moisture? Do I need protein? Nothing was working on that end. So I said, Mom, I know my hair is not falling out from the scalp, but, you know, can you make me some of the oils? I'm going to use them consistently and let's see what happens. And my hair reverted back to normal and better than ever. And I remember saying, if I'm young, I was 27 at the time, and I'm going through this hair loss, imagine how many other women that look just like me that may not even have the knowledge and education that I have and don't know where to turn. And I said, we need to share these products with the world, and that's what we did.
So Mom clearly has the magic scientific touch, but you still have to go from, oh, this is working on my daughters, to how do you get this out mass produced? Let's talk about the journey from something that started at home in the kitchen, I presume, to is now worldwide.
Yes.
Online.
Yes, yes. So we started with just sharing my before and afters and my sisters on my own personal social media. And I, by far, still to this day, I only have about 2,000 followers. So I didn't have that to my benefit.
Yeah.
And people were so intrigued. They were like, what are you using? And I was like, oh, it's just oil my mom makes. And then people were like, I want to buy some. So I was buying bottles online. We were filling them with the oil. People were picking it up, dropping it off.
Yeah.
Doing all the things. And I was like, I don't know if this is legal. I think, I think we need to turn this into a real business.
Right. We need to at least LLC this or something, right? We can't just keep filling bottles in the kitchen.
Exactly. So that was like September 2020. And between then and December, we made a website, LLC, product labels, all of the things. And we launched December 2020. By March 2021, 3 months later, our monthly revenue was more than my 1 year salary as a nurse practitioner.
Wow. So listen, there's so many things I love about this, but I think my favorite part is the fact that you did this with no debt and no loans, which feels unheard of for a small business starting in Mama's Kitchen. Talk about the specific strategies that it takes for the business women out there to do it without borrowing somebody else's money.
Yes. So I'm going to take you from December 2020 to now. We're now multiple 9 figures a year in revenue, and we still have no investors. But what's more important is last year, from 2024 to 2025, we have 4x year-over-year growth. We were also named one of America's fastest growing companies. The only reason we were able to sustain that growth on our own without taking on investment is because of what I did the 4 years prior. The 4 years prior, every dollar we made had to produce a positive ROI. So what did we have to do? We had to be scrappy. We had to be lean. We had to really just figure things out. We used my sister's social proof, my social proof, and built a cult following of people that resonated with that story. And our customers became our biggest advocates. They were sharing their results. They were posting on social, screaming from the mountaintops about Bask Lather. And that's really what helped us to grow. And because we didn't have to spend tons of money, and still to this day, on influencers or heavy marketing campaigns or making things pretty. Yeah, the product speaks for itself and the customers, and we have a loyal base of people that really trust and advocate.
But when you talk about a return on your investment or ROI, it still comes down to having a really solid product, right?
Yes.
Because you're not going to get an investment if the product. So we're going to talk about after the break consistency, what it takes, and to grow, because the demand is different when it's a few folks on social media saying, hey, can I get it, to now you're in stores online all over the place, right?
Yes.
Conversation continues after the break, but you're also going to meet Shy, Courtney, and Kirby, 3 beautiful women with 3 different hair journeys. Plus, beauty content creator Mahogany Johnson is here. She's going to show us how to lay and slay those edges for every age group, right? Because not everybody is not so. We're going to talk about that after the break.